You think Dorsey woke up one morning and he saw the red laser beam on his chest and he said, "You know what? It's time for me to get out."
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't. It feels like, at least on the social media side, that there's no longer a target on your back, but the government, like they got the laser beam on you and they're ready to pull the trigger. I feel like the Democrats and Republicans both see mileage. So now, from an investment standpoint, and quick note, we're not giving investment advice any way, shape, or form. That's not what we do. Just a candid conversation about things. But when I'm looking at this, I start to wonder, the social media companies are going to get hammered at some point. It's a matter of when, not if. So then you start looking at companies that have, strong SaaS models or people that manufacture something, hardware, such as Apple. Are those just going to be better plays? The portfolio gameplay for the last decade has been put money in tech, you won't lose. Unless you were in that, ARC fund last year, which I feel like they went down like 20 something percent or something, right?
Yeah.
But they'll bet on AI, bet on tech, electric cars, lithium mining. Put your money into that stuff, and your portfolio is going to grow. And just, do we stay away from anything social media at this point? Like, I never loved the Snapchat stock. I felt like it seems like a cool app for everyone that wants to send dirty pictures, and I don't know how you like continue to monetize that. It's I don't know if we're even talking about that one in 10 years from now, right? And then you got Twitter and the Facebook and Instagram thing. It just feels like, in the long run, why does Buffett have like a bulk of their holdings in like Apple? Not a bulk, but I think Apple's their number one holding. Is that correct?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I recall something like that.
Where are you putting your money, Dennis? You gonna put it in Twitter?
No. I typically don't like investing in things that I don't use.
Kane, at one point I had a huge Twitter account that I deleted.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the point where it's like, I'm still gonna jump on here from time to time to find out trending news and that they see what people are saying. But as far as a daily use, I didn't like it. I saw too much negativity, and I'm like, I deleted my account, and people are like, "Oh my god, your account was huge. How'd you do that?" And it's like, because I care that little. But when the government's coming after you, it's just one of those things. Like, there's too many other options out there right now. What's that one you and I talked about, Kane? Snowflake.
Mm-hmm.
You're better off looking at something like Snowflake than trying to, if you had made your own little mini personal mutual fund and you bought like Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat, you're better off just going and buying like Salesforce and Snowflake and Microsoft. Like, maybe one doesn't get you short-term bigger returns, but over 5 or 7 years. Because I just feel like the government has found the next one to pick on, and that's going to be social media.
Yeah. Do you think that's primarily driven by like they've become anti-competitive because they're too big, or some other reason?
They got more control than the politicians do now.
Fair.
And then I don't think the politicians like that. I know they're saying they're coming for big tech, and they're talking about Apple and Google and Amazon here. Anyone can be on the chopping block. I just feel like you can go back to Amazon and say they actually manufacture something. The phones, whether it's Beats headphones, it's the laptops and the computers, like they actually have something they create, right? Versus Twitter, for example, which I think Twitter stock's already been hammered quite a bit over the last year or so. But just one of those things that, do we get back to fundamentals and say, are the companies that actually create something of long-term value, or those are the ones that are going to win? And maybe that's, again, the strong SaaS models. Maybe it's Salesforce, or someone that creates and sells the hardware, semiconductors. I think the semiconductors last year crushed it, obviously, because of the shortage and all this stuff. Is there just smarter plays here? Electric vehicles. There's a complaint that the Ford stock popped because of they launched an electric vehicle, but the same complaint isn't leveraged towards Tesla, where that's all they've done is that, and their valuation goes up. So, do you start looking at the big three and some other automotive manufacturers and say, as soon as they get their electric game going, these are going to start really increasing the valuation of those stocks, much like what happened with Tesla?
Yeah.
Is that a better play than Facebook or Metaverse now, right? Because I can go buy an acre of virtual land, and I think that's a good investment, right?
Yeah, and I think there are maybe two other factors that we haven't chatted about, and it's how much cash they have on the balance sheet, and then also like what is their prominence in terms of their inclusion on indexes, right? Like you mentioned with Buffett, James, but Apple, I think it's held in so many people's like retirements and things. Like it can only take a hit so much before people pick it back up again. So I think you're right. I think there's lots of other plays than the tech companies that are maybe like not as cash healthy and rely on access to public markets, to fund whatever they're doing.
Going to be an interest. I think we're due for a shift with the influx of money in the system. We watched the market go crazy last year. Even when they're going up, that it can be irrational. Like we're sitting back and saying, why is this going up so much? And now we're starting to see it kind of, you look at most charts and you're starting to see the downturn. That doesn't mean it won't go back up, but we're not pumping these trillions anymore into the system. So you have to wonder if that heyday's over.
Mm-hmm.
And then what survives that at the end of the day? Usually it's the people that produce something of value, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, Russia's going into probably Ukraine. It sounds like, maybe it's time to buy war stocks again. I don't know. You just wonder where's the money best invested right now. So, how about cryptos, Kane?
Yeah, with a good segue. So, would you put all your money in cryptos at the moment? I'm curious.
Dennis, didn't you gift somebody Bitcoin?
Listen, I got the idea from Kane, but I did give somebody else some Bitcoin
as of like a birthday present, right?
Yeah.
It's like, here's some Bitcoin, asshole. Happy birthday! Like,
well, if you give somebody, like, you can give somebody 1 million like Shiba coins or Doge coins, and then if it ever gets to $1, you make them a millionaire.
It's one of those deals where you buy someone a lottery ticket, and then you go, "Hey, if you win, I want 25%."
Don't forget about me.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to forget about you. So next thing you know, they moved. Their Instagrams popping up with Lamborghinis and stuff. And it's like, hey, oh yeah, you remember that lottery ticket you bought me?
Yeah.
You're going to be the first person they forget about. I just wonder too, like looking at cryptos, have you seen those memes online that go, whatever coin, 0.04 cents in 2017, and it was, 20 cents in 2018, and it was $2 in 2019. It shows how the value of the coin has like went up in the last 3 or 4 years. And it's like, you're still getting in early. And I wonder what that's going to look like in 2023, because that curvature on the cryptos also was similar to what's going on in the stock market with equities, where you could see where we had this massive influx of money from stimulus and unemployment. Everyone's just paid in the last 18 months, all this extra money floating around. And that was obviously going right into the like meme stocks and coins. But now we got to go back to paying bills. And you wonder if we can sustain, like you saw the market cap of cryptos just grow. But now you're not. So is this really sustainable in the next 12 months?
Oh, all signs point to no, but it's like the one thing that's hard to project on because I have no idea what it's tied to. Used to think it was a hedge. It's not a hedge. I used to, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that, I'm going to put my money into cryptos in case the stock market crashes. But if you draw 2 points on charts now, you notice that the stock market goes down, cryptos go down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now obviously you have some cryptos that just break out for whatever reason, because some celebrity decided to like pimp it, and it's like going through the roof.
Yeah.
But for the most part, minus the outliers and the outbreaks of certain ones, markets up, cryptos up. Markets down, cryptos down. So that's not, like you said, it's not a hedge. And then it's this whole thought, well, if the world ends, I'd rather have Bitcoin than gold. But I'm like, if the world ends, if, let's just say electricity stops, what's your Bitcoin worth?
You can't turn on your phone.
Yeah, did anyone ever think about that for a minute? It's, like you say, like this doomsday is coming, where this, I don't even know what they call it, an EMP or something. Like Russia detonates a nuclear bomb over the United States and knocks all the power out. And it's like, so what are you gonna do? You're gonna go barter for a half a cow with Bitcoin, but the phone you don't have power for? Like, we all don't have. What's that?
I swear I have half Bitcoin. I swear.
Yeah. Well, maybe you got some solar panels in the backyard, right? It's just interesting when you listen to some of that stuff. It's even on the electric cars, and it's, well, I'm going to use an electric car to like power my house when the power goes out. Then I'm like, well, then how are you going to charge your electric car? And then they stare at you like, I hate you right now. Like, because it sounds so genius, right? Because I've had power go out for like 7 days before. And, if I would have plugged my Ford Lightning into my house, it would have ran out of power in like 4 hours. And then I'd have no power in my house, and I'd have no power in my truck to go anywhere. It's like, do we stop and think about these things for a minute? I can see a world where it does end. I have my electric vehicle, and then I got a gas generator trying to charge my electric vehicle. Yeah. and my phone, so I can pay with Bitcoin to, get some bread. But interesting times. I mean, I still like messing around with cryptos. It seems like if you don't get in at like the 0.004 cents, which if it does happen, then like a venture capital firm or a bunch of these billionaires get involved first. Like that heyday of just like making a bunch of free money for no effort's kind of over, it seems.
Oh yeah. What about real estate then, James? How do you feel about real estate in 2022?
I remember this old movie, like Kurt Russell was in it, called Used Cars. And they're like, they blow up a car, and he's like these prices are too goddamn high, and they blow the car up. It's like from the 70s. And that's how I feel about houses right now. Like, Kane and I, you and I did an episode on, I don't know, houses a few months ago. And I talked about my childhood home that was only like 700 square feet, and it sold for like 89,000 or something, 86,000. And then a year later, when the housing boom hit, then it sold for like 130 something. And I'm like, wow. Because, now it's pushing prices out of reach for the working class. I don't know. Like, if you look at rentals, is this a good time to buy rentals? It sounds like it's a terrible time to flip houses, even though there's 20 million flip this house, TV shows on.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. What do you think, Dennis?
From what I'm gathering, they're still looking to see an increase in the housing market for 2022, but not as much, of course, as 2021. I think everything went up roughly around 20%. And now they're, sites like realtor.com and Zillow are expecting anywhere between like 2 and 5%, especially on the residential side of things. But for me, I personally would rather do something on the rental side of things rather than doing a quick flip.
I mean, I feel like it's a good, I don't have to feel that way. It's technically true. It looks like it's a good time for speculation building. It seems like in the good neighborhoods, any house that's getting built on spec is getting sold really quick. So it's one of those, like, you're seeing a lot of teardowns right now. People are going in the nice neighborhoods, or finding these old baby boomer roll houses, and they're buying it for the land. You know, Royal that's happening in Royal Oak right now, Birmingham a lot. They're just bulldozing the house and they're putting the new house up, and they don't even have. They're not building it for someone. They're building it to sell. Like that seems, long term to get, whatever 9, 12 months to get a flip on that, but speculation home building seems really good right now. Long-term renting could be good if housing prices stay up and then interest rates go up. Between interest rates and the high home prices, a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford the homes anymore, which could cause a rental boom. So I think that could be interesting. The thing that also bugs me, and I'm sure you both are about to experience this as well, when the home prices go up, property taxes go up. And now we're going to get stuck paying these high property taxes until things bust. And then there's a delay before they reassess your house. And then let's say you sell your house and it's going to be probably for less than what you've been taxed on. You just paid all these high taxes for 5 years on a price that you can't even sell the house for. And you're going to watch the cities clean up on that. What do they do with the extra money at that point?
Don't have this conversation with my father-in-law because he'll go through the roof.
Well, I mean, Dennis, you've experienced how efficient your city is with repairs. Getting 4 square feet of concrete fixed that they tore up, and you get that tax assessment bill and it goes up, and then the things go back down, and then you sell your house and say, I've been paying tax on this price this whole time and I can't even sell it. Like, it's infuriating. And then the city's got money for a bunch of stuff that isn't that productive, or commercial. What do you guys think about doing commercial right now?
I mean, to me, we always had this conversation during COVID that we're going to see a lot of vacant storefronts, and maybe in the major, I've noticed this when visiting Chicago. I saw a lot of storefronts close, but here, just like in suburbia, I don't see a lot of vacant locations. I think things are still booming. Parking lots are full, especially those takeout restaurants, and it's something I would consider for this year. I think I was expecting there to be a lot more availability than there is today.
I mean, I think you're seeing it downtown in Detroit.
Yeah,
you're starting to see a lot more businesses close up. I've seen more of it when I go back home. When I say go back home, like, where I grew up, where there's not as much money, you're seeing more vacant storefronts. I'm waiting to see the big commercial buildings. The only thing that really kept the big commercial buildings alive was, for the audience, if you've never done a commercial lease before, 5 years is like the minimum, and they're usually 7 or 10-year leases. So when COVID hit and everyone decided to work from home, there's a hell of a lot of companies out there that are still paying on office spaces that they don't even have anybody in. But as those leases start to come up, I think you're going to see less and less people renewing. And if they do renew, it's probably going to be for a smaller space as we continue to do this work from home. Or a worst case scenario, or a best case scenario, they're going to do the flex work where it's 2 or 3 days in the office, which means you probably still only need about half the office space. So there's probably going to be some turmoil in the big commercial market at some point. But you're right, Dennis, in the heavily populated areas right now, even the upper middle class areas, you can't find, every strip mall's full. But I think it just depends on where you go. I mean,
yeah.
Kane, is the Cracker Barrel still in business down by you?
Definitely. Busier than ever.
One thing I noticed working with our current landlords, we utilize, of course, WeWork and a couple of our city office locations. And they're heavily discounting any sort of contract. So, rather than doing the month-to-month, they're discounting for a monthly fee has gone down probably like 50% from like the month-to-month rate. And I'm assuming they're just scratching and clawing their way in and getting tenants locked down for longer than a month-to-month period, just to, for whatever reason, have more security.
I and a tough spot for those. I mean, I've not watched the WeWork docu yet. Kane, you keep talking about it. I don't have Hulu. I got to go. What's it cost? Like $10 or something. I got to go sign up and watch that because that Hindenburg of a startup should be. It's if watch the Enron Smartest Guys in the Room documentary sometime. That's really good. But I'm expecting this WeWork one to be very similar. But I think WeWork's facing two issues in the big cities. You have, so it looks, a lot of people are kind of getting away from big cities right now. And then you compound that with work from home. And I think WeWork's in a whole lot of trouble. All those big city shared office spaces are probably going to be hurting in the short term because they have short term leases. It's a lot of it's month to month or like a year at the most. It's not like those big office leases where you're tied in for, General Electric comes in and they lease a whole floor for, 10 years, and General Electric's going to keep paying on that. WeWork doesn't have that luxury. It's month to month. It's like, yeah, this is cool. Peace out. Then like you're gone. It's, what do? You take the free mug? Did they even give you a free mug? That's it. And then there's no stability there. So I can see, man, those co-working places got to be hurting right now.
I wonder how much of that heavy discounting is the fact that they've become a public company, and they just, when they were private, I mean, flush with cash, flush with venture capital, like they just didn't care, and now they have to tie people down and try and figure out some level of cash flow.
I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. If you go, you can go on LoopNet and roughly figure out what space in that building's running naked, no build out, but it's 25 to $40 a foot, let's say. And you can look at that space and go, okay, this is the bare minimum they need to charge to just cover their space and get the landlord paid. And then let's not even talk about the build out and the insurance and all the things that run the business. And you start looking at that, and my guess is even at the discounted rate, they're probably even losing money. But they're probably trying to control how fast they lose money. Now having the place completely empty, you might as well just close up shop, you're done. Do you keep tenants on? Do you lose, 20% versus losing 100% by just keeping people on with a discount right now? Mm-hmm. And they're going to control that in hopes that things turn. Otherwise, you're just going to have one big bankruptcy, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Going to go scan your key card one day and it's not going to let you in.
Make sure you take a mug on the way out.
get a mug on the way out. Yeah, that's about all you can do. I don't know. Any other thoughts, Dennis?
No, just going back to WeWork in those type of shared office spaces. Right now is probably going to be even more challenging, not because of just lack of, everyone working from home and not those densely populated areas are no longer as populated as they used to be a couple of years ago. But also, like, the folks that are actually visiting the office are not getting that vibe that you used to get. The offices are empty, and eventually I feel like you're going to lose out on those that you have today, just because it's just not the same. We visit the office 2-3 days a week, just as a whenever you feel like kind of stepping into the office environment that we created, and the feedback I'm getting is it's just empty now. It's not the same buzz. The whole experience of working on the same floor with dozens of different businesses, and there's constantly traffic for the companies that are invested in those office sharing spaces. I just feel like they might be looking for something different just because they're not getting the same vibe.
I mean, Kane, that was your biggest. That's why you liked WeWork. It was energy. There was.
Oh yeah.
You got a vibe. You got other people there. It's like, I want to get out of the house. I want to be around other people. I want to get some energy. And now you walk into, who knows, a 10,000 square foot floor, and it's like crickets.
It must be weird. Yeah, for sure.
The other one last thought on the investment side, anyways. Is I don't know if you've tried to Airbnb or looked at a vacation rental lately, but everything has gone through the roof, and it's almost nearly impossible to find any kind of rental that's good. And I think that's what the work from home, aka work from anywhere I want, has allowed people to actually take more like working vacations. Like someone can go rent a chalet in the mountains somewhere and they're on vacation, but they're still in front of their laptop for 6 8 hours. And I think we watched the market really dry up on availability for rentals. Makes you wonder, instead of buying a primary rental for someone to live in, do you just go buy a property up north? Do you buy something on the beach? And you're more focused on a vacation rental, knowing that we're going to travel a lot more as we do flex work and work from home. Is there more money in the long run holding that asset? Because lake houses tend to not go down in value as much when the market crashes. And then at these times, probably the next 2 to 5 years, depending on what goes on with COVID, if vacation travel is going to be that big, are you better off just buying a vacation rental from an investment standpoint?
Yeah, that's a good question. Stick an A house or something with good Wi-Fi in the middle of nowhere. You probably make bank.
Yeah.
You probably make money.
Yeah, I sent something to James actually a couple nights ago, and it was this a chalet up in northern Michigan. It just looked pretty sweet, but it was like, I think it allowed for 6, maybe 8 out of memory people, and they were charging anywhere from like $600 to $1,000 a night. It's like, man, you book that out 50% of the year, and you're sitting pretty.
I mean, in Michigan, you can easily book that for the entire month of June, July, and August. You can often get a good part of October booked for the color change. And then if you're near anywhere that's got snowmobiling and skiing, you can book it out. So I've seen rental properties up around Bay Harbor and Boyne where you can actually do pretty well on those things. But for something that's like quote unquote nice that can fit a bunch of people, you're right. You're seeing stuff that's up to $1,000, $1,500, or even $2,000 a night, because it makes more sense for someone to do that right now than it is to sell the property. So just thinking of a different way to look at things right now, instead of trying to accumulate 3 or 4 single family homes and try to get long-term renters, there might be more money in that vacation house. Which, why not carve out a couple weeks for yourself? Like when no one books it this week, you have a place to go to, for example, which has some value. But if we're going to continue this up and down roller coaster with the virus, work from home, don't work from home, flex work, work from anywhere. And one interesting thing on it before we go, the campgrounds in Michigan during COVID so far, it's the busiest they've ever been in the months of September and early October, because so many people were able to like do school remotely that you saw the campgrounds booked even in the 3rd week of September. So you've seen this shift in how we're living life, call it school life balance instead of work life balance. We got work life balance, we got school life balance. When you're able to work from home and the kids can do school remotely, now all of a sudden you're not stuck in the house. And that's where I'm seeing, well, the campgrounds are going to be busy all the way up to mid-October for color change. How did that affect the rental market up north? So now I got another 5 to 6 weeks of prime time rental time. I don't know. That could be an investment worth looking into.
Serious question, then. Go on, Dennis. Sorry.
No, just to kind of quickly rebound, I was reading on the whole Airbnb or VRBO type of investment, but also to James's point, when you're heading up to somewhere like northern Michigan, the folks that are like taking advantage of everyone vacationing up there, like the snowmobile rentals right now, are making bank as well.
There's money to be made.
I think the Airbnb guy tweeted a couple of days ago that he's going to spend the entire year just living out of Airbnbs. So I think you're right.
I mean, I got to get to like a 4 seasons at some point. Like can't just do Airbnb. Like, you got to get room service once in a while, right?
Would you be interested in an Airbnb with a great view of Cracker Barrel?
I don't know, man. Give me some biscuits and gravy. I'm a happy dude. I don't know. Like, I'd rather be by a Waffle House. But
Does Cracker Barrel deliver is the question.
To my Airbnb, yep, for sure. I'll make it happen.
I mean, with inflation and what they charge, it's gonna, like, a family of four is gonna be like $150 to get Cracker Barrel delivered. So I just got a latte and a sandwich from Panera Bread, and they wanted my FICO score. So interesting times. All right, let's go make some money. How about that?
Good.
All right, I got you.